Welcome to the first show. When I say first show, I mean like 10th show of Irish Football Weekly, where we talk Notre Dame football here on The Grueling Truth. My name is Josh Benjamin, host of The Real Deal as well. My co-host, Tony Hunter, has a show as well, along with this one, about the L.A. Rams. Tony's a former tight end of the Irish from 79 to 82, first-round draft pick by the Buffalo Bills in the 83 draft. Tony, what's going on?
Oh, not too much, Josh, not too much. It's a beautiful day here in Cincinnati, and just enjoying it a little bit.
Good deal. Listeners, you can catch us each week on our website, thegruelingtruth.net, also on other media outlets such as Stitcher, Spreaker, iTunes, Google Music, and iHeartRadio. So multiple medias where you can catch our show and listen to our wonderful insight, of course. Well, especially Tony's. I don't know about mine. I wouldn't say mine's insight. I would say, I don't know what I would say. I don't think I can say that on here. So anyway, let's jump right in. Let's talk about the game last week against Army down in San Antonio, and turned out pretty well. Tony came out with a win, 44-6.
Yes. I tell you what, Josh, watching Notre Dame play against Army was like a breath of fresh air for me. We were physical. We looked relaxed. We looked confident. We looked like we knew what we were doing, both offensively and defensively. And I was just thinking in my mind, I was just saying, where has this team been the last 3 or 4 weeks?
Yeah, absolutely. And, it makes us sound really good when we correct ourselves, but we always say, if you play loose, have fun, less thinking out there, good things are going to happen. And I think that happened this past week against Army down in Texas.
Oh, yeah, Army's a good football team, but we dominated them. I think they're every bit as good a football team as Navy was, and I think they actually play this week, so we'll find out which team is better. But as far as the way we played against Army and the way we played against Navy, we would have beat Navy had we played the same way as we played against Army. Now, I had heard that we hadn't been practicing in pads for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and you and I had the discussion that I felt like it was important that they at least had shoulder pads and helmets on and going in full contact. Not full contact, but using the helmets and shoulder pads during practice, and it would help us become a more physical team come game day. And it sure looked like we were playing a lot more physical in that game, and I'm wondering, did we go back to using pads the prior week before the game and the prior days before the game?
Yeah, actually I was wondering that as well because, like you said, very physical game that they played this week, or this past week, I should say. And, the concept of helmet shoulder pads only is to kind of help the legs. We're not going to take the tackling to the ground in practice. We're going
right.
What's called thud, which essentially means, using your technique, standing them up and wrapping your arms around them and running your feet until the whistle's blown, which is usually a pretty quick whistle. So hopefully they jump back into that mode there. Evidently,
right, but it's just like game speed. It's just like you're going. It's game speed. You're going full go, except you're staying off the ground and you're not tackling, so you're avoiding injury that way. But it keeps you sharp and it keeps your game ready when you do that.
Well, speaking of sharp, the offense looked pretty good this week with, kind of a balance in yardage-wise. The rushing attack had 261 yards, and the receiving end there had 215 passing yards and receiving yards together, obviously. So a balanced attack. Thoughts on the offense, Tony? What do you think?
Oh, I tell you what, Deshaun Kaiser reappeared this weekend. I don't know where he's been the last 3 or 4 weeks, but he started this season off, and he was leading one of the most explosive offenses in all of college football. And then the last, I would say 3, 4, maybe 5 weeks, he just he's been inconsistent. But he showed up against Army, and I tell you what, he had 3 TDs, 1 interception, but he dominated that game. I loved his poise in the pocket. I love the fact that he was going to all the different receivers. he was getting St. Brown involved. Torrey Hunter was out. C.J. Sanders was involved. It was just great seeing the offense getting even Dexter Williams. We're starting to use him a little bit more. I think we have a very talented set of players in the skill positions. And if we use them, if we can get that ball to them quick and let them make plays in the open field, we're going to be successful. I think that's what we were doing against Army, and I think that's why we were successful.
Yeah, and, talking about the offense, just specifically the red zone, they were 4 for 5 this week when they had the ball in the red zone with 3 TDs there, which that's what you want to come out with when you're in the red zone. You need to come out with 2.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely, Josh. And they were spreading the ball around. Everybody was touching the ball. You had Josh Adams was running the football. You had C.J. Sanders. They were running the ball, and the different wide receivers were getting involved. I was a little bit nervous going into the game because Torrey Hunter was out with that injury. And I was just curious to see who else was going to step up. And I tell you what, those guys stepped up. C.J. Sanders, St. Brown, they stepped up, and the offense looked potent again. It looked dominant again. And, in fact, they're starting to there's talk again that the Cleveland Browns are really interested in taking DeShone Kizer as the first pick of the NFL draft next year. So that talk is starting to heat back up. So I guess that's motivation for Kizer to go on and finish out this year strong.
Absolutely. That's an exciting time for those young men that are anticipating getting drafted, and especially that high. And I obviously have never felt that, and you have, Tony, yourself, and you could probably elaborate a little more on this, but I imagine that's got to be, you're on cloud 9. Oh,
yeah, most definitely. That's something you dream about as a kid when you're growing up, when you're playing in high school ball. And it was for me when I was playing at Notre Dame. Just getting into the NFL draft, getting an opportunity to realize your dream and play in the NFL. That was, I'm sure that's something that Kizer is going to be thinking about right now. And to have an opportunity to be the first overall pick in the National Football League draft, that's something you don't just take for granted. The financial benefits of that being a windfall for you. That's something I'm sure that's in the back of his mind. And I'll tell you what, it's motivation for him to go out and finish this year strong.
Yeah, and, some of the stats from the game, starting with DeShone Kizer, throwing for 209 with 3 touchdowns and having 77 yards rushing on 7 attempts. They had 2 other guys besides DeShone, Folston and Adams there, also had over 70 yards rushing. So 3 guys over 70 yards rushing is kind of uncommon when it comes to an offense. When you have so many weapons, like you've mentioned so many times, Tony, it's really easy to get those guys in the game and get them the ball and be able to be productive. So that's a definite plus. And last week we talked about DeShone's distribution and how it kind of trickled off a little bit as far as how many people he's given the ball to passing-wise. This week, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 people were involved.
And I love that.
That's an amazing thing, going all the way back to week 1 when we talked about the distribution of what Coach Kelly said of giving the ball to multiple people, and they're back to it, like you said, and I'm very excited about that. Very, very excited.
Oh, yeah, they would be impossible to stop if they continue to distribute the football that way. They have some talented guys in those skill positions, and, of course, Kizer can throw that football. But if they keep it balanced, if they keep it spread all over the field, I think the sky's the limit for them the rest of the way in. And I'd like to see us win out. First of all, continue to play football in the same physical manner that we played against Army, finish out the season that way, I feel like we can beat USC. We can beat these last couple games that we have. We can win in them if we play the kind of football that we're capable of, which was the kind of football we played against Army. Good, tough, physical Notre Dame football.
Two important stats that come to mind, and I have these written down here. Time of possession. Notre Dame offense has it for 34 minutes. Army had it for 25, so 9 whole minutes roughly more. And this stat, which is alarming, and it's amazing for the Irish, third down conversion. They were 10 of 13 in third down conversions, which is an alarming rate for that Army defense, in which on the other side, Army's offense was 3 of 11, so not very good at all, about 27%. And that's kudos to the defense as well. So
Exactly. Defense played well. I thought the defense played pretty well. They couldn't throw the ball. They were definitely one-dimensional, so that helped us. I think they threw a total of maybe 3 or 4 passes. Did Army?
Yeah, not very many at all. And so that, played the week before against a team that, ran the ball down their throat, kind of redemption this week against that Army team.
Yeah. I was worried about that coming into this game. I knew Army had been really effective running the football. But now their starting quarterback was out. So, that I'm sure that played a big part. But the guy that stepped in and played seemed like a pretty talented guy. But we did a good job on him. We did a good job. Kudos to the defense this week.
Well, this game takes them to 4-6, which obviously isn't the record we want them to be at this point. But they've improved. They've gotten better. Guys have gotten experience, and that's kind of the positive spin to it. Besides Deshaun and that offense being really explosive for the most part of the season, they play a Virginia Tech team coming this week at home on Saturday at 3:40 p.m. By the way, up there at Notre Dame Stadium. Virginia Tech team at 7-3 right now. At one point, they were in the talks of being in the top 10 and having a run at the college football playoff, which they lost a few games, kind of knocked them down a little bit. But by any stretch, this is not going to be a walk-in, walk-out easy game.
It'll be interesting. It'll be a great test for Notre Dame, and it'll be interesting to see if Notre Dame can continue on playing the type of football that we played against Army, playing the type of football that we should have been playing all year long. If we can carry that over from the Army game into the Virginia Tech game. We haven't been able to sustain that type of play all year long. It'll be interesting to see if we can do it against Virginia Tech. And if we do it against Virginia Tech, we'll beat them. We'll win that game. And I'd like to see us put up another 470, 500-yard total offensive game this coming weekend, too. So I'm looking to see if the offense can be consistent and carry over from the Army game as well.
Yeah, couldn't agree more with that. And Virginia Tech, just touch on them for a few minutes. They have some scary things going on as far as our defense is concerned. They have a quarterback, Jared Evans, who is on a record-breaking pace on several single-season records for the Hokies there on passing touchdowns, total touchdowns, and a bunch of completion percentage and other passing stats. He's on his way to breaking about 7 or 8 records, according to their website.
4 records of Virginia Tech?
Yeah, Virginia Tech single-season record. So.
Oh, okay.
I mean, some of these guys we know. Logan Thomas, who was a pretty good player for them at quarterback, and then of course Tyrod Taylor, the quarterback for the Buffalo Bills at this point, had a couple records that are possibly going to be broken by Jared Evans. So the guy that's probably going to be the main part of the offense. Obviously, he handles the ball every snap. They got to make sure they keep him contained, obviously, and the DBs have a big week this week with those possibilities of those records being broken, which means obviously they're pretty good at offense.
Yeah. Anytime you have a passing attack that's effective, it's worrisome. Because our defensive backfield, we're getting better, but we're young. And we were just fortunate last week that they were basically one-dimensional, Army. They just ran the footballs. So we didn't really get tested very much. This week against Virginia Tech, it'll be a different story, and the defensive backfield will be tested.
And so Justin Fuente, if I said that correctly, is the head coach at Virginia Tech. He's in his first season because obviously he's passed through with a legend there who just retired, Frank Beamer. And so
Right.
So they're changing leadership there and trying to establish his philosophy and what he wants to do with that program. So
you know what? It's been some good players that have come out of that. Well, Michael Vick, Big Bruce Smith from up in Buffalo, and there's been some very talented players that have done very well at the next level. So who's to say there's not a few of those guys that are over there right now with Virginia Tech. So it'll be interesting to see. But I still say, if we play the kind of football that we played against Army, we shouldn't have a problem with them.
No, I totally agree. Basically, what we've been saying all season, it sounds repetitive, but it's the truth. And cliche or not cliche, it's truth. And the fact that they play loose, like you've been saying this whole time, Tony, and doing what they normally do, being them. That's what they have to do to win a ball game. I don't care who it is, USC, Virginia Tech, Army, so on. Has to be them playing their ball.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what turned that switch on against Army, but I hope Coach Kelly knows what it was that turned it on so he can turn that switch on the rest of the way, so we can finish up strong and get to a bowl game. I'd like to see us get to a bowl game and win to kind of salvage this season. It's been a tough season.
Yeah, and they finish up next week with USC, a big rivalry game at USC, but this week they're home against the Hokies, Virginia Tech, in which this is the first time in school history they've met. I never would have thought that, but that's a crazy stat to me as far as them not meeting ever. With Notre Dame's history, they haven't met at all. So first time for everything, and this week we'll find out essentially who's going to take that first win between these two teams.
Yeah, I don't remember ever playing against Virginia Tech. So it'll be interesting. I think Notre Dame is being tested by some teams that we don't normally see on our schedule, and it's really giving us a barometer as far as where we stand as a football team, the type of football team that we are actually playing at Notre Dame this year when we play teams that we haven't played in the past and from different conferences. But like I said, I think if we can just finish strong, play the kind of football we played against Army, I think we'll do just fine. I think we'll win out and get into a bowl game.
Yeah, and some notable games that they've played, just real quick here, that we have had common opponents. Syracuse, they actually lost to 31-17, so they lost to them by 2 touchdowns, in which we beat them pretty handily. I think we beat them by 17. I think it was 50-33. And then they played Duke, and they beat Duke, so we're on the opposite end of that, where we lost to Duke there. But so we have some common opponents, some common things, kind of flip-flop on the wins and losses between those two. But
we're a different football team now than we were against Duke. I think we're a much better football team. If we play the way we played against Army, we're a much better football team.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's move on, Tony. Let's go on to basically the next segment, which is 3 toughest picks of the week. And, man, did we do awful last week. Oh, man.
I know. I watched those games.
Yeah, we both lost. Well, you lost 3. You lost all 3 of yours, unfortunately. Well, fortunately for my case, so I'm going to say, fortunately for Tony, he lost 3. but I won 1, so that puts me a little bit closer. You're 15-9, I'm 14-10, so just right on the heels there of.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah. LSU Arkansas game. I chose LSU. You had Arkansas, which obviously
right
pretty handedly. But the other 2 games were surprises. And I almost picked Duke last week, but you talked me out of it, and I had to stay with you. So you couldn't gain any ground. But Duke beat North Carolina last week, and then we had Washington USC, which was a very big
USC. I watched that game. Yeah, USC won that game. Man.
Yeah. So that was a big Pac-10 matchup there. So
and it just let me know that Notre Dame's going to have a tough game. USC's playing much better football these days, this late in the season, and so Notre Dame's going to have their hands full against USC.
Yeah, they have some great things going on out there. Unfortunately for us, but that'll only make us better and get us focused and locked in for that game. So, yeah, USC's definitely gotten a lot tougher throughout the season, like you said.
Yeah, that's always been the biggest game of the season for me when I was there. I used to love playing against USC.
Give us a memory of one of those games.
What's that?
Give us a memory of one of those games against USC. It's got to be intense.
I know my senior year we played. I remember my freshman year we played them on national television at Notre Dame. And Rusty Lish was our quarterback. And I don't know, I'm not sure exactly how many passes I caught, but I had a good game. I think it was 4 or 5 balls, but I had a good game. And I was just elated. When I was being recruited out of high school, USC and Notre Dame came after me as hard as anybody did. And I made visits to both schools. Now, when I went to USC, I think it was mid-January or something like that, and it was 80 degrees. I fell in love with the place. And then I think a couple weeks later I came back and went to Notre Dame, and it may have been 15 degrees out there. It was freezing cold in South Bend. And I said, well, it was a lot nicer at USC, but I've always wanted to come here. Notre Dame, this is my opportunity. I'm not going to blow it. So even though the weather is horrible, I'm going to come to Notre Dame.
Great.
Yeah, but and then my senior year, we played them out there. And it was on national television, and I actually won the MVP of that game. I was selected the most valuable player in that game. I forget what my stats were, but we beat them out there, and but that was always the biggest game of the year for me, that USC game.
That's got to be exciting, especially getting those type of honors in a game like that. That's got to be pretty awesome.
Oh yeah. We were throwing football that day, and I think it was Blair Keel. It was just every time I left the huddle, Tony, I'm going to look for you. I said, okay. And he was really, really getting me the ball that afternoon.
Good deal. Yeah, I love listening to those different stories there, just because me being a former athlete, football player, and a couple other sports, love hearing throwback stories where, it's like I'm there, and those listeners out there that have played sports before and been in rivalry games and tough competition games and things like that. It's awesome feeling. Love the grind. Love competing. So good stuff, Tony. There. So. Oh yeah. And back in those USC games when I was a freshman, that's back when they had Ronnie Lott. He was a safety. Went on to become a Hall of Fame defensive player in the NFL. Ronnie Lott, Dennis Smith. A lot of people probably don't remember Dennis Smith now because I don't think he got as much publicity as Ronnie Lott did at the NFL level. But Dennis Smith was unbelievable. He was the first guy I had ever seen
high jumps over 7 feet in high school. And he was a big guy. He was maybe 6'3", probably somewhere around 218, 220. And he high jumps 7 foot in 7'2", I believe it was, in high school. Unbelievable athletes on that USC team.
Wow, that's amazing. That is amazing. And so going with that theme of tough competition and things like that, 3 toughest picks, going back to it, I guess I should say, got some pretty good games this week. For those of you who are going to watch other games besides the Irish, we have our first game, Tony. It's a SEC matchup, number 23 Florida at number 16 LSU. So who do you got?
Florida at LSU. LSU had a big win this weekend, didn't they?
Yeah, they stomped on the Razorbacks, Arkansas at.
Yeah. No, Fournette had a big day. So I think he's healthy now. I'm going to go with LSU at home.
LSU, very good. I'm going to take LSU as well. I mean, I can't pick against them after they've done well for me last week, so I got to take them as well this week. So we're tied up there. Washington State, who's number 22, by the way, playing at number 10 Colorado. Colorado's number 10. Wow. So 22 Washington State at number 10 Colorado in that big matchup there.
I'm going to have to go to Colorado. I haven't had a chance to see them play, though. I haven't had a chance to see Colorado play, but they're ranked number 10, and they're playing at home. So I'm going to go with the safe bet, Colorado.
Well, this is where we're going to differ a little bit. I'm going to take Washington State for just one reason and one reason only. They got a big game playing Washington, and I think they're going to be focused these next couple weeks. And who knows? Who knows? They may pull it out and bump me up, and we'll get tied up there with the record. but Washington State there. And our last game, Big 12, huge matchup. Number 9, Oklahoma travels to West Virginia, who's number 14.
Oh, that is a big one. Woo. I thought I read something about one of the Oklahoma players said he was going to sit out the rest of the year and get ready for the draft or something. Did you hear about that?
I don't know, but that's touche to what they need to do, but man, I don't know. I just couldn't pass up not playing. Yeah,
I know. I forget who it was, but it's one of their players, and I think he has a pretty good chance of being drafted high in the NFL draft. But anyway, that's a distraction. I'm going to go with West Virginia. It's at West Virginia, correct?
Yeah, it's at West Virginia.
Yeah, I'll go with West Virginia to win that one.
Wow. Man, I mean, Baker Mayfield, he should start getting some more Heisman hype there. West Virginia has been playing pretty well. They got all cylinders going there. Man, that's a tough pick. In softball, I'm number 9 on my team. I guess I got to go with Oklahoma since they're number 9. I don't know. This is awesome.
Yeah.
So we're going to go that route. I don't really have a rhyme or reason, and that's probably why I'm losing, Tony. So
you're not very far behind. Last week was a crazy week, and Michigan lost, and a whole lot. I mean, it just really was some unexpected things happening last weekend.
Yeah, making that college football playoff top 4 kind of a whirlwind there with 3 of them losing. So. See this week.
Yeah.
For sure. So. Well, our next segment, Upset of the Week, which last week we had IU playing against Penn State, and that didn't work out for me. So
Penn State won that.
Yeah, they got them pretty good. And then this week, this is what I'm hoping for because of who we play next week. I'm picking UCLA to beat USC at home. USC goes
really?
To play
yeah. You know what? Wow, that's a big in-town rivalry. It always has been. I'm going to have to disagree with you on that, Josh. The only way I could see USC losing that game is if they were looking beyond that UCLA game to the Notre Dame game. But we're down a little bit this year at Notre Dame, so I don't think that'll happen. I think USC will be focused on beating UCLA to have the bragging rights. To have the bragging rights for the year. So I'm going to take USC to beat UCLA.
Okay. Well, I hope that I'm right and that happens, but just because of my distaste for USC being a Irish fan, but I gotta think level-headed here. But I'm going with UCLA because they're playing USC and the fact that they have some neat colors there. I like their colors. Got some.
Oh yeah, I always have. I always love those that blue and gold.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that wraps up Upset of the Week. We got obviously our favorite time is Irish prediction time, in which we got to place our prediction, give a couple comments on why, and go from there. Tony, you got drafted, so you go first.
Okay. You know what? I think we played the best game we played all year long last week against Army. That's the best I've seen us look, I feel, all year long, both offensively and defensively. I think we're going to continue that on. I think we need to continue it. So I'm going to take Notre Dame. I think our offense is going to be explosive once again. I think we're going to put up 40-some-odd points again. So I'm going to take, if we continue with the same game plan that we had last week of spreading that ball around, letting everybody get involved, taking advantage of some of the talent that we have in those skill positions, I think we'll put up over 40 points. I'm going to say 42-28. Notre Dame wins.
42-28. Let me lock this in here. 42-28. Irish win takes them to 5-6, according to you. And so my prediction, a little bit closer score. I think it's going to be a little bit higher on Virginia Tech's end. I think it's going to be 38-35 Irish. I think what will happen, and only time will tell, but I think Virginia Tech will have the ball last, and we'll get a defensive stop. It will be kind of poetic justice to get a sack, something that we haven't done so well this year in the game on a sack, which that would be really neat to do. So I say 35 Irish.
Okay.
So, anyway, that's Irish prediction time. And something I posted on Facebook, Tony, which I saw that you commented on, which is an awesome thing to be proud of as an alum of Notre Dame, is here's the fun fact for the finish, and I think this is by far the best fun fact that we've ever had and probably will ever have, is this. So Notre Dame is in the top 10 in these two categories, winning percentage in football and graduation rate, and top 10 in both of those. And I think that's pretty amazing when you think about the guys that leave early, that just don't pan out, that the programs aren't successful on the other end of the winning percentage portion. So that is a great thing to have, and I know you can talk about that portion for years when it comes to having both.
Oh yeah, that right there sums up what Notre Dame is all about in a nutshell: winning and graduating its players, winning and preparing its players for the future away from football. So that's what those statistics say to me, is that it was that way before I went into Notre Dame. It was that way when I went to Notre Dame. There's definitely an expectation for you to get your classwork done, and if you don't get it done, then you won't be at Notre Dame very long. That's basically just the way it is.
Yeah, you said it all there. I'm not going to say anything because that puts it right on point there. the pride in what you have for the university is pretty remarkable for all alum. But to have those two stats put together, man, that's amazing. So nice job, everyone involved with that university and students and professors and so on. So
definitely.
Well, it's time to wrap it up, Tony. We talked a little bit about last week, this week, some of our competition we got going on, our predictions, and that wonderful fun fact there. So that's gonna call it for us this week.
One thing I'd like to say: the Shamrock uniforms last week. I thought we looked good in them. What'd you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, I like those a lot. I know they're not, the Notre Dame, straightforward, plain, traditional jersey and helmet and things, but those are sharp in my opinion. I think the Shamrock series is pretty neat series they have, and so I like them a lot. I'm on your side. I like them quite a bit.
Actually. Yeah, I did too. I really like those uniforms. I thought we looked good in them. But you know what? If we're going to play the kind of football that we play against Army, that physical Notre Dame football, then why not go back to the green and gold jerseys to finish out the year? That's what I'd like to see. The green and gold jerseys playing good, tough, physical Notre Dame football, winning football, finish up in the green and gold jerseys.
Love that. Love that idea. We need to call Coach Kelly and let him know. Get that arranged, because that's really important.
Yeah. Be sure he gets the memo, Doc.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like I said, that wraps up our show for Irish Football Weekly here with Tony and myself. Don't forget to check out our website, thegruelingtruth.net, which will have multiple shows of your liking. For example, The Real Deal, my show, then the LA Rams show that Tony has as well. You can listen to us on multiple medias, such as our website, but also Stitcher, Spreaker, Google Music, iTunes, and iHeartRadio. Also, Tony and I are on social media, such as Facebook, so if you want to search us and find us, we'll talk about Irish football during the game, after the game, right now, later on, whenever. And you can also follow me on Twitter, @CoachJB4 is my Twitter handle. For my co-host, Tony Hunter, this is Josh Benjamin signing off for Irish Football Weekly. Go Irish. Peace.
Go Irish.